The San Francisco Bay Area is home to a thriving Filipino community, so I knew I had to head there in search of Sinigang. My first stop was FOB Kitchen in Oakland, California. I connected with chef-owner Janice Dulce. I wanted to learn more about her cooking style and the food she serves at her restaurant. How would you describe the food that you serve here at FOB?
It's hard to say. I don't want to say it's Filipino food. It's like Filipino-American food. It's food that I grew up eating. It's my favorites. Sometimes I have people come in here and say this is not authentic, but it's not authentic to what they had growing up, but this is authentic to me.
Janice is amazing. She's a ball of energy with a passion for Filipino food. And she was the perfect guide for my Sinigang journey. So tell me about Sinigang.
It was really a staple at my parents' house. It's a ginger tamarind soup with a ton of vegetables.
The Sinigang that Janice serves is a tribute to the version she ate as a kid. Obviously, we have a bunch of vegetables. What are we going to be using today?
So we're going to use kangkong, which is water spinach, green beans, eggplant, some bok choy, and some okra.
But just because she grew up eating it doesn't mean she always appreciated the complexity of the stew.
I would come home to my parents' house and I'm like, what's for dinner? They're like, oh, we're having sinigang. I'm like, we're having sinigang again.
But Janice's relationship to Filipino food changed over time.
I like to be able to see the vegetables in the soup. I think it's fun. And also, in a Filipino house, you eat sinigang with a fork and a spoon. Okay. So it's kind of nice to kind of cut through it.
Once she got older and moved away from home, she realized she missed the dishes she took for granted growing up.
When I was growing up, I was embarrassed. I just wanted to be like everybody else. And now I just want more and more to embrace my own culture.
Janice chose the name FOB Kitchen as a nod to this idea of learning to embrace her own culture. Tell me about the name FOB Kitchen.
FOB means fresh off the boat. And it's a term that my brothers and I would use, and we would make fun of our family. We'd be like, oh gosh, they're so FOB, or because they talk with a very thick and heavy accent. And then when I wanted to open a pop-up, I realized I never went to culinary school. I never worked in a kitchen professionally. I learned it all from them, and also my palate, I learned from them. And I wanted to honor my family, but I also wanted to be playful, but I also wanted to empower it and also reclaim it.
Janice puts her own spin on her sinigang. She uses pork ribs, which add body to the stew. Huge bricks of tamarind and fresh lemon juice lend a signature tang. And most importantly, lots and lots of vegetables. Cheers. Oh, wow. That's so good.
I think it's the best one I've ever made.
I'm thoroughly impressed. That tamarind adds such the sour depth to it.
So good.
Thank you so much. That was incredible. I appreciate it.
I love having you here, Brian.
Thank you.
Janice looks like a really fun woman.
Oh, she is wonderful, and she's a fantastic cook, too.
Yeah, and the one thing she said that really resonated with me was that people would come up to her and say that her sinigang wasn't authentic. And her response was, well, it's authentic to me because this is how I grew up eating it. I love that.
Yeah, it's such a great way to approach cooking, I think, across the board. So we came back fully inspired to make our own version of sinigang, thanks to Janice.
I can't wait to try it.
Why don't we get started, since it is a vegetable stew with some of our vegetables. We're gonna begin by slicing about 1.5 cups of onion. Okay, so that is about 1.5 cups of onions there. So another one of the vegetables, it's actually a vegetable and aromatic that we're gonna be putting in the soup, is ginger. So I have a 2-inch piece of ginger here. We're gonna peel it. We're gonna julienne this ginger. We're gonna give it a thin slice so it sits flat on the bottom.
Nice.
And we're just gonna shave it into really thin planks. And then we'll just go to our little stacks and just give them a little slice. So we're gonna throw this into our bowl with the onions because we're gonna cook those together. So now we're gonna prepare one of our vegetables for the stew, and I have a daikon radish here. This has got a potato-like texture, not a ton of flavor, but it absorbs a lot of the flavors from the stew as it cooks. This is about a 1-pounder, so we're gonna cut just the end of it off here, and we'll use about half of this. And we're just gonna give it a peel. Okay, so then we're just gonna cut this in half lengthwise, turn it and cut it about 1/4 inch thick crosswise. Okay, so our vegetables are prepped there. We have our ginger, onion, and daikon radish. So let's talk about the souring agent in the stew, tamarind. Okay, so this is what tamarind looks like. It's a sour fruit. If you crack it open, you can see the inside of it. So you can see that there's seeds right in the middle. There's a lot of this shell. So it's kind of hard to access and hard to use. So one option you could use is tamarind concentrate. It's tamarind that's been watered down. I don't like it, and Janice didn't like using it either, so she recommended we use this, tamarind paste. So it's just like this fruit here, but it's got the shell and a lot of the big seeds removed. It's got a far better flavor, but in order to access all the usable pulp, we first need to soak it in a bit of boiling water. We're gonna add this 1 cup of hot water to the tamarind paste. Make sure we get it all submerged in the hot water. So the ratio we're using here is 5 ounces of tamarind to 1 cup of boiling water. And we're gonna let that sit for a good 15 minutes to soften up the tamarind paste so we can get our hands in there and really loosen it up. All right, Julia, so our tamarind has been soaking in this hot water for a good 15 minutes. And we're just gonna go in there and break it up a little bit with our hand. There's big seeds like this here. So we're gonna strain all this out. And to strain it, we wanna use our medium mesh strainer. And then I like to always, whenever I'm pushing stuff through a strainer, I always like to work it with a ladle because that round contoured edge really helps get good contact. We'll use our rubber spatula just to scrape off what's underneath here. Okay, and that is ready for our soup. Okay, Julia, so one of my favorite parts of this vegetable stew is the pork. We have a 3-pound rack of St. Louis style pork spare ribs here. You'll notice that they have been ripped crosswise through the bone all the way down.
Nice.
So obviously this is something your butcher will have to do for you, but there's a real strong advantage to this. By cutting these bones crosswise, you expose a lot of the gelatin and the marrow, so that adds a lot of flavor and body to the stew. Really, really enhances it.
Gotcha.
However, if you can't find a butcher to do this for you, you could still use ribs and just cut them into single bone portions, okay? So we're gonna pat these dry with paper towels because we're gonna sear them. Do both sides. And now we're gonna cut these ribs into 2 bone portions. So right in between the bones, just like that.
So is that what you'd get in your bowl, is a portion of ribs like that?
Yeah, exactly. If the math doesn't work out cleanly and you get like a 1 little riblet, that's okay.
Someone's gonna get a bonus piece.
Yeah. Season them all over with 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. I'll give them a flip. Hit the other side with the salt. All right, now we're going to sear the ribs off. So I have a tablespoon of vegetable oil heating up in our Dutch oven. And we're gonna sear the ribs in 2 batches, about 3 to 5 minutes per side. We're looking for them to get nice and browned on both sides. Now, because there is a meaty side and a bone side, the meat side will obviously sear a little bit better because there's more for the pot to grab onto, whereas the bone side is a little bit concave. So we're gonna start off with half the ribs going meat side down first, okay? That way we get a strong sear on the first side.
Makes sense.
We'll let that go for about 3 to 5 minutes until it's nicely browned on the first side. All right, Julia, it's been about 5 minutes and we can take a look and you can see these are nicely browned on the first side.
Beautiful.
So we're gonna cook them on the second side, another 5 minutes or so. So while that's cooking, we're gonna go ahead and mince up a couple of Thai chilies. So the Thai chilies are obviously going to add a little bit of heat. If you're somebody who likes a little bit more heat, feel free to add a little bit more. But I found across the board 2 Thai chilies is perfect for this stew. So we're just gonna give those a quick mince like this. All right, so we'll let these ribs finish cooking and then we're gonna fire off our second batch. All right, Julia, so our second batch of ribs is looking good. You can see there's a lot of nice fond and some fat rendered out in the bottom of the pot, and that is exactly what we want. Now we are going to add our onions and ginger. So we're gonna let this cook for about 2 minutes until they just begin to soften. Okay, Julia, it's been about 2 minutes and you can see that the onions and the ginger are really beginning to soften and it just smells wonderful, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can really smell that ginger.
All right, so now we're gonna add our Thai chilies to a 6-ounce diced vine-ripened tomato with the seeds.
Okay.
And we're gonna let that cook until the tomatoes begin to break down and the whole thing blends together nicely. That should take about 5 minutes. So as these tomatoes are beginning to break down, we could use some of the liquid that comes out of them to scrape up some of the fond on the bottom of the pot too. All right, Julie, you see our tomatoes have really broken down, almost formed like a paste in the bottom of the pot. And now we could add 4 cups of water. So as I add that water, I'm just gonna scrape up any of that brown fond on the bottom of the pot. Now we're going to add a 1/4 cup of fish sauce. And then we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. So we have two souring agents here. We have the lemon juice and the tamarind. Both come at it from a different angle. So both have a slightly different flavor. So if we were in the Philippines and we had access to calamansi, we would use calamansi juice. Now calamansi is one of those tropical fruits that's grown in the Philippines. It's sort of a cross in flavor between orange and lemon. So and most people will agree that using just lemon juice is a suitable substitute here. Okay, and then we can add our tamarind paste. Then we can also add in our daikon radish. It's going to really absorb a lot of the flavor of the stew. So then we could finally put in our pork ribs. Just want to nestle these into the liquid. Okay, and we want to make sure all of our pork is submerged in the liquid. Now we're going to bring this up to a boil, then reduce the heat to medium-low, put a cover on it, and let it simmer until the pork is nice and tender, and it takes anywhere between an hour and a half and an hour and 3/4.
Okay.
All right, Julia, it's been an hour and a half. Let's take a look.
Oh.
It smells wonderful, doesn't it?
Well, and that broth looks like it has a ton of flavor.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that our ribs are nice and tender, so we'll just give them a little poke with a paring knife. Very tender.
Can't even pick them up.
No. Now we're going to prep up our remaining vegetables. So we have some green beans and some Japanese eggplant. At the restaurant, Janice uses a ton of different vegetables: baby bok choy, okra, English peas, green beans, eggplant, the works, okay? And she blanches each one of them separately so they're nice and bright green when she presents them to her guests. At home, she says that she just throws the vegetables into the pot right at the last 15 or 20 minutes of cooking, and so that's what we're gonna do, making a home-style version of Sinigang. So we're gonna just trim up 6 ounces of green beans. I have most of them already trimmed here, and then we can just cut them in half. We're also going to use a Japanese eggplant. So we're going to cut this on a slight bias, about a 1/2 inch thick. Now, a Japanese eggplant is different from the bulbous style of globe eggplants that you typically find in the grocery store because the skin is thinner and there are less seeds. And when it cooks up, it's really nice and creamy in the stew. So about 1/2 inch thick.
Oh, nice big pieces.
Yeah. So this is about 6 ounces of Japanese eggplant. We're gonna just throw this right into our stew. And then the same with our green beans, another 6 ounces of green beans here. We're gonna increase the heat to medium. We'll stir those in and we'll let this stew simmer uncovered now for a good 15 minutes until those vegetables are tender. And we'll come back occasionally and give it a stir to make sure they're all getting their fair share in that flavorful broth.
Sounds good.
Okay, Julia, it's been a good 15 minutes. Our vegetables are tender.
It smells terrific.
It does, doesn't it? We can shut off the heat now and just want to give it a taste to see if we need any extra salt. It's really good. I wish you could try what I'm tasting right now. Okay, so I think we're ready to start eating, huh?
Okay.
I'm going to start off with the meaty vegetable, the pork. Give you some eggplant, a little bit of daikon, another piece of pork here.
Oh, thank you.
And then finally a few of these green beans. Some of that julienne ginger. And then we're going to add a little bit of broth. Oh, looks good.
That looks delicious.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a portion from our stew bowl and transfer it to our plate.
Okay.
So take a little bit of pork, put it right at the foot of your rice there. A little vegetable, a little green bean, a little daikon, piece of eggplant. Okay, then in front of you, you have a little bowl of fish sauce mixed with Thai chili.
I knew there was more Thai chili in my future.
Yeah, I know you like heat. We're gonna treat it like it's liquid salt here. We're gonna add a little spoonful, a little piece of vegetable, a little piece of pork, a little bit of rice.
Well, you're using the fork almost like a knife or the
Right.
spoon like a knife.
Yeah, so everything gets served on the spoon, and you almost bulldoze everything onto the spoon with the fork. And then you can just dig in.
You can taste everything. The fish sauce, the lemon juice, a little bit of kick from the chili, the ginger.
Yeah, especially that ginger. And I just love how you have this little bowl of fish sauce, and you really kind of customize your own little bite there.
That daikon, I know it simmered in there for almost 2 hours. It still has texture.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it?
Brian, this was really fun. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So if you want to make this fragrant Filipino vegetable stew, start by using tamarind paste. Use St. Louis style ribs that have been cut in half by the butcher and add a variety of vegetables at the very end just before serving. From Cook's Country, a Filipino favorite by way of Oakland, California, Sinigang. I am a fan of this.
Thanks for watching Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen. So what'd you think?
Leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or just say hi.
Now you can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
Alligator.